Okay, so let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt like you're just hitting a wall with a new language? I mean, you're doing everything you're supposed to, right? Memorizing vocabulary lists, drilling all those grammar rules, but then you open your mouth to speak and it just sounds off. It doesn't sound right. Well, what if I told you the real secret isn't buried in some textbook?
I mean, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You see that one person who just seems to absorb a new language. They pick it up so easily, they sound like a native in like no time. And meanwhile, the rest of us are over here struggling for years just to order a coffee. So, what's their deal? What's the secret? Well, the answer might actually be in how we're learning. See, the traditional way, the way most of us were taught in school, it's all about the written stuff: grammar, vocabulary lists, rules, rules, rules. But there's this other path, kind of like a hidden secret, that focuses on something completely different. It focuses on the sound, the rhythm, the pitch, even the melody of the language.
And this is where we get into something really fascinating that researchers are looking at. It's called the good ear advantage. The whole idea is that the key to becoming fluent might not be about studying harder, but about listening differently.
Yeah, exactly. The key to unlocking a new language, it might not be about what you see on the page at all. It's about what you can hear. The real secret is literally coded into the sound itself. And, this whole idea actually has a name. It's called the melodic advantage. It's all about this really powerful, fascinating link between musical ability and learning a new language. Basically, if you have a good ear for music, it can give you a huge head start when you're trying to learn a foreign language.
But this connection goes way deeper than you might think. Researchers are now realizing that language isn't just like music. In a lot of ways, it pretty much is music. Just think about it. Every language has its own unique rhythm, its own tempo, its own ups and downs in pitch. It's like this incredibly complex symphony of sounds that we've created to communicate with each other.
Okay, so if language is basically a form of music, how does that actually help us learn it? Let's get into the nitty-gritty here and break down how having a musical ear can literally rewire your brain for fluency. Okay, just think for a second about the skills that directly cross over. I mean, musicians spend years training their ears to do stuff that is just golden for language learning. Things like picking up on tiny, subtle differences in tone, recognizing the rhythm and flow of how someone speaks, and just processing really complex patterns of sound. That's exactly why they can often remember whole phrases and sentences like they're just another melody from a song they know. And this becomes absolutely critical when you look at tonal languages. Take Mandarin, for instance. The word ma can mean mother, or hemp, or horse, or even to scold. And the only thing that changes the meaning is the pitch of your voice when you say it. It's crazy. For someone with a musical ear, hearing and then copying those tones feels pretty natural. But for a lot of other people, it's a massive roadblock. So in cases like this, a good ear for music isn't just an advantage, it's pretty much essential. So let's look at how this actually works inside your brain. It's kind of like this powerful four-step process. First, your brain hears all these new sound patterns from the language. Step 2, that musical training kicks in and it starts processing those patterns like a melody, which makes it way easier to remember whole phrases. Then, step 3, doing this over and over actually strengthens the neural pathways your brain uses for language. And the final payoff, the big one, your speech starts to sound so much more natural and fluid because you're not just spitting out words anymore. You're actually reproducing the music of the language. So, what this all means is that we really need to start thinking beyond the grammar books. It's time to start focusing on the sound, the actual listening experience of a language. And this really creates two completely different kinds of language learners. First, you've got the robotic speaker. This is the person who knows every grammar rule inside and out, but when they speak, it just sounds, well, robotic. It's clunky and unnatural. But then you have the natural speaker. This is the person who has learned to hear the music of the language. And because of that, their speech just flows. There's this quote from the source material that I think just nails it. It's this idea that, hey, a world-class musician didn't get that good by just staring at sheet music all day, right? Of course not. The real work, the magic, it happens when they actually sit down and play the instrument. The sheet music is just the map. And it's the exact same idea with language. Now, this doesn't mean you should throw your grammar books in the trash. Not at all. Grammar is the sheet music. It's your reference guide. It gives you that essential structure. But it's just a means to an end. The main event, the actual performance, is all about listening and speaking. That's where you're going to find real fluency.
So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. If you really want to get fluent, you've got to start mastering the music of the language.
But, and this is super important, listening can't just be a passive thing. Just having a podcast on in the background while you do dishes isn't going to cut it. To really master a language, you have to listen actively. You got to focus on the intonation, the rhythm, the little pauses between words. And then, just as important, you have to use your own voice. You've got to try and sing that song yourself.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one I want you to take with you. After everything we've talked about, you have to ask yourself, are you just going to keep reading the sheet music? Or are you finally ready to pick up your instrument and start to play?